This is a video for before the chapter. Whoops. There's my eraser. Before the chapter 18. It's really more of chapter 15. And so that's why I want you to watch this video. It should be fairly short before you do the pre-chapter. We just need to make sure you understand what a function is and how to solve a function from an equation, a graph, and a table. And so let's start out with function notation. Function notation is just another way of stating an equation. It's a function. So you've seen equations like this in previous classes. Y equals 8x plus 2. And maybe they'll say x equals 3 and they'll ask you to solve it and tell them what y equals. Okay, function notation is when you replace the y with an f of x. What this means is that this equation is a function. When you put something into the equation, a specific number will come out, and so they call that function notation when you state it as f of x. So this reads f of x. It just means that this part right here is the function, and your variable within the function is x. So if I have an equation y equals 8x plus 2, I can rewrite that equation in function notation as f of x equals 8x plus 2. So you notice that the y is replaced with the f of x. Now it doesn't always have to be f of x. Sometimes you'll have a variable like a g, and they might say f of g equals, 2x minus 3, or 2g minus 3, sorry. Try to make that g. Oops, there we go. All that means is that the variable that you will be using is the one that you replace in here in the f of x, in the function. So the function is going to operate with the variable g. So then they'll go and they'll ask you things like, what is f of 4 in this equation? So this would be part of your, they'll say find f of 4, and they'll give you this function. So what you do is you replace the g with a 4. Whoops. So you get f of 4, which just means if I put a 4 into the function, what happens? I get 8 minus 3, which is 5. So f of 4 equals 5. So this is the answer they're looking for. They're wanting you to state it also in this way. So they don't want you to write y equals 5. They're telling you to use function notation. They're saying the function has a g in it. I want you to replace it with a 4. So if I do that, f of 4 equals 5. So now you try one. So they'll give you the function, and then they'll say find f of 10. So you might want to pause it and try it, see if you can do it yourself, and see if you can get your answer in function notation. What that means is your answer is going to look like this. F of 10 equals, and you're going to have some answer right here. You got to have this whole thing. That's function notation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the 10 in where the x is in the function, which is on the right hand side. Okay, so f of 10 equals 5 plus 6. So f of 10 equals 11. The function doesn't always have to be on the right hand side. They can, an equation has two sides to it, and so they could write it like this, and you'd just be working on the left hand side. So here's one with some radicals, since we've just gone through studying radicals. So they might say f of g equals the square root of g plus 5. Find f of 20. And so you're going to find f of 20. You're going to replace the g with a 20 and solve. And you get 5. They also can write it like this, where they're asking you to find two different points. They're saying, what if I put a -1 in for the x, and what if I put a 0 in for the x? So those are two different things. So it's just like giving you two problems in one. So you say f of -1 equals 10 times -1 minus 2. So f of -1 is -12. And then you can do f of 0. And I think the textbook, I don't know that I think online it already has the f of 0 for you, and all you have to do is type in like this part of the answer. But on the final, they'll have you, the final is written, it's paper pencil. So they're going to want to see your answer like this. Okay, so just don't forget steps. Okay, so they also can give you a graph. Let's see if I can do this. And they can say things like, find f of 2. And so what they want you to do, the green part is the function. So a function can be written in an equation, it can be written in a graph, and it can be written in a table, and a story problem. So I just got done showing you functions that are written in an equation. Now this function is written in a graph. So the function is the green graph, and they're asking you to find f of 2. So they're asking you what happens when you put a 2 in for the x. So this is your x, this is your x-axis, and this is your y-axis. So you find 2 on the x-axis, and then you look to see where your function hits x being 2, and what your y is at that point. So at that point right there, the y is also 2. The point right there would be 2, 2. And so f of 2 is 2. Because remember, f of 2 is the same thing as y. So let me try another one that's not, well, we can use the same line and try another function that's not going to be the same. So how about f of -1? So if they ask you f of -1, remember this f of x is the same thing as y. They're saying what happens, what is the y when the x is -1? Don't go to -1 on the y. That's a common error. So you go to -1 on the x, and you follow it up, and you can see when x is -1, then y is -4. And so don't put the ordered pair. That was one of the things that they found students doing on the last final, is that some students were putting an ordered pair when they'd ask, what is f of -1? Remember, if they ask f of -1, you want to say what it equals. The y equals -4. They can even give you an equation that's not linear, and they might say, what is f of, let me make sure I can get a whole number, -3. So again, you're going to -3 on the x, you're looking up for that point. Well, when x is -3, y is 2. So f of -3 equals 2. So the last thing we need to cover is how do you find answers to functions in a table. So they could give you a table like this, and you're used to seeing tables where it says, you know, like x and y. Okay, remember it's the same thing, it's just f of x. Okay, so this is really your y values, but just don't write y. Okay, so if I ask you, and this would be a typical question that you could be asked, f of 2. If I ask you to find f of 2, the most common error is that students don't know if it's this or if it's this. Is it when f of x is 2 or is it when x is 2? Okay, so think about that. This is f of x. So they're saying when x is 2, what is y? So y is 8, so it's this one. They will purposely put in your table, they'll purposely make sure that, you know, the x, there's a 2 in the x, and then there's a 2 in the f of x, so that they can see if you understand the difference. Do you understand that when you're finding f of 2, you're finding where x is 2, not where y is 2? Okay, so that's about it for the pre-chapter 18. Take some time to go back and study 17. 17 and 18 are the hardest chapters. That's where people struggled the most. And so just make sure you're asking questions. If you need a video, tell me what you need. Also, you might want to get into the computer lab, or I mean the testing lab at either if you're at CC or if you're in Lewiston. You need to go in and schedule your final. If you are scheduling your final not at CC, you need to send me an email, tell me where you're scheduling your final. Thanks.